Hello, Tasha Shu here. I'm super excited about this week's blog as we're going to continue talking about the power of a positive attitude. I hope you enjoyed the video last week. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, I really encourage you to do that because this is so important. Our attitude is something that sometimes we just don't think about. Sometimes we don't realize the power of it. And so we're going to dive a little deeper this week as we do this second video because attitude really is so important. I mean, you are what you think. Our attitude can be our best friend. It can be our worst enemy. It honestly is the librarian of our past. It's a speaker of our present and really the prophet of our future. And it's really the characteristic that will either draw people to us or turn people away from us. And it's something that is on the inside of us, but where we see it is on the outside. And so we're all going to have an attitude, and we get to decide whether it's negative or positive. I think a lot of people say, well, I'm just naturally a negative person. No, you can change that. You have power over what you think. And it, as you saw in the words that I posted in my blog last week, it can even determine the outcome of how long we live. It can determine our health. It really determines so much of our life. And so I'm really passionate about this, I'm sure, as you can see. But today I really want to talk to you about ways that you can choose to be positive. And I think the one thing that I've learned the most in my journey is the fact of having a gratitude list. And I see this all throughout Facebook. I see this all throughout people quoting, people posting. So I know it's something that can kind of be a little redundant, but I want you today to pretend that you have never heard of this concept before. And I want you to pretend that this is something completely new, to really look at it with new eyes, because it is so powerful. Shortly after my accident, shortly after coming home and trying to learn how to live life with a positive attitude was where I began to do this in my mind. I didn't have it written down. I didn't even know how to type or write at this time, so I was really doing it mentally. Now today I have it written down, and whenever I'm having a bad day, whenever I'm struggling, whenever I'm thinking, man, life is so unfair, I pull this out and I force myself to think on it. I force myself to meditate on it all day long, that when a negative thought pops into my mind, I immediately go back to that gratitude list. And it is so important. Now, some people do it differently. For me, I just have a standard gratitude list, things to be thankful for. My family, the people that are surrounding myself, surround myself with, my pit crew, which is so important to be focused on, to be thankful that I live in America, to be thankful that I have hot running water, really standard, basic things that really help me get out of my funk when I get into that. Now, other people, what they have done, and I've always kind of wanted to do this, just haven't really been able to take the time to do this, is that they have a standing gratitude list when they start, and then they add to it every day. They determine that they add even one just every day. And man, I've seen people share their gratitude lists where they're up to 400, 500 items of things that they have to be thankful for, and it helps them every day to start out with that grateful attitude, which makes a huge difference as you go through your day. And so, like I said in the beginning, this thing is huge, and I really want to share an example of how huge attitude really is. Now, on my wheelchair, I have a joystick, and I don't know if you can see that here with my wheelchair, but my joystick is so important on my wheelchair. It's such a little thing. It's something that seems like really doesn't have a lot of power, but it has huge power. I mean, this wheelchair, my wheelchair can actually pull. I was actually in a wheelchair pull. If you've ever heard of like a tractor pull, I think this is so hilarious. I was in a wheelchair pull, and my wheelchair actually pulled all the weight that the guy had brought with him, which was, I think, between 700 and 800 pounds. So my wheelchair has a lot of power, but it all starts and it all comes down to this little item, my joystick. And that's how I move my chair. It's how I go forward, backward, side to side. And if someone were to lean over me, which has happened many times with my wheelchair on and me not paying attention, I actually can move without me knowing and can cause actually great destruction. If I were to be by a set of stairs, I would fall down those stairs. I mean, just think of your imagination of the horrible things that could happen if this were to be bumped. And that's really how I think my joystick can be paralleled with attitude, because this little thing has huge power. And sometimes we just don't realize that in our lives. This joystick controls really my destiny, controls where I'm going to go, controls the path that I take. And that's what our attitude does in life. And so I believe that our attitude is what drives our course of life. And so just think about that as you're going through this week, knowing what a difference your attitude makes. And I really want to close with this quote by William Arthur Ward. He says, "Gratitude can transform common days into Thanksgivings, turn routine jobs into joy, and change ordinary opportunities into blessings." I hope you enjoyed this message today. Stay tuned for next week as we have one more coming. See you then.